What? I can actually upload more than once in a week? Who knew? Let's talk about what I am planning on reading and am currently reading in the month of June. Let's talk about it. So I finally decided to get back into some Discworld, and instead of continuing with either where I left with the Death books, which I read Mort and I read Guards, rather than continue those, I actually decided to step back to the beginning, and I went ahead and read The Color of Magic, which was fine. Compared to the fantastic starts of Mort and Guards, I would say this pales in comparison, but this does a good job of introducing you to several themes that are going to play out in these books, having the premise of essentially a failed wizard in Rincewind and a tourist by the name of Two Flower. It's a fun dichotomy. It's a hilarious sort of, dialogue of characters going back and forth, just how different they are. And I love that when there's like dragons and there's all kinds of, crazy things happening in Ankh-Morpork, that Two Flowers like, well, can't you just use some magic? And Rincewind's like, that's not how it works, man. It takes years to even learn one spell, and then you use it and it's gone. Like, it's not that easy. There is some of that comedy, obviously, that Terry Pratchett's known for, and that I loved in Mort and Guards. I feel like it's a little bit more tame in this one. Of course, you still get the absurdity of just like, if you had never read Discworld before, the entire premise of how Discworld exists is crazy, and everything is kind of absurd in a way, which is kind of the point. But of course, Terry Pratchett is a wonderful writer. Rest in peace, sir. He is witty. He's incredibly smart, and just some of the scenarios that he places his characters in, I don't know. There's just something different about these books, and even though this was definitely my least favorite of what I've read so far, I've been told time and time again that the first couple of them are nothing like the rest of the books. But I am kind of deciding to just go back and do it in publication order. Obviously, I don't think I'll read Mort and Guards again, but I might just go through and kind of get a taste of all the different sort of plot threads that happen, and then maybe I'll branch off and just read like all of the Watch books and all the Death books. That was my initial plan, but I kind of want to get a feel for the rest of them, so we'll see where it goes. But I still enjoy Discworld a lot. This one was just okay. And next up, of course, I will read The Light Fantastic as well. Don't know anything about what to expect. I love that most of these Discworld books are about 250 pages, and it's this really weird mass market size. They're really skinny, and the text is kind of big, so like these books don't have a lot of words in them. You can fly through them rather quickly, but I am going to continue on and read this one next. Also this month, probably a mix of audiobook and physical. Book 2 of The Lies of Locke Lamora. So Red Seas Over Red Skies. Don't really know what to anticipate with this one, other than I know the series, at least as of book 3, ends in a rather large cliffhanger. We'll see how this one holds up. I absolutely loved The Lies of Locke Lamora. I thought the dialogue was fantastic. The action when it happened really reminded me of a heist movie. And it's just everything about it was right up my alley. And I'm expecting the same for this book. I don't really know where the story is going to go, where the plot's going to go. I'm guessing since there's a boat and it's talking about seas, they're going to be on a boat on the sea. See? Smart. Other than that, though, I don't really know where they're going to go with it. I don't know if we're going to pick up any plot threads from book 1, if we're going to stay in Kaymore or go back to it. I don't know what to expect. But I'm looking forward to it because I love the book. I love the first book so much that I am expecting to love this one equally. So that's going to happen this month as well. All right, for sci-fi this month, I'm going to go ahead and read Foundation by Isaac Asimov. I have several of these books in this sort of like Barnes & Noble edition. I think it's their exclusive look to it. I'm not sure, but that's where I found them. And I don't know anything about Foundation. I know that Isaac Asimov is well regarded in the sci-fi world. I know people give his books very high praise, and I'm expecting to enjoy it. I haven't always loved classic sci-fi when I get to it. Some of it's pretty hit or miss, but I'm looking forward to it. I know it has an adaptation lurking out there. Was it on Apple Plus? I don't remember. I didn't hear too many good things about it, but that's fine. I'm not really looking forward to a lot of these adaptations right now. I'm more interested in the source material, and I want to read some of these books. I want to see the origins and sort of like influences that all these classic sci-fi novels had on what I read today. Because when you read things like Sun Eater, or you read things like The Expanse, or even Red Rising, drastically different styles, themes, characters. They pull heavily from fantasy, but a lot of the sci-fi elements pull directly from these books that have existed for decades. I mean, Dune, Jesus Christ, is one of the most influential sci-fi and probably fantasy books of ever. So many people pull from it, and I'd be curious to see what all gets pulled out of Foundation. And it's kind of interesting for me, having read sci-fi really only in the last year or so, and starting with newer stuff and really, really enjoying it, probably because most of them are like space operas or kind of like sci fantasy. But then going back and reading other stuff, I noticed like, oh, you definitely pulled that from this. And it's just a really fun kind of exercise to go back through older sci-fi and see where some of this came from. Not all of it is that intriguing. I do understand a lot of it's pretty dry. It's very theme heavy. Most of the classic sci-fi is really meant to make you think rather than give you an engaging plot and characters. That's what fantasy is for. So I'm looking forward to it. I have zero idea what to expect, but I'm going to get back into a large sci-fi kick here in the future and really get through some of these series. And last up, but certainly not least, but certainly the chunkiest boy, is going to be Choo Choo right here. Dark Tower number 3, The Wastelands, which I have already started, and I am mixing audio with reading, as I tend to do for some of these books when it seems like these days everyone recommends audiobooks and says that this is one of the best every single time a book comes up. Frank Miller knocks us out of the park. I love his dedication to the characters. The Drawing of the Three was awesome and also just hilariously batshit insane. And just the fact that an audiobook narrator would go to the lengths that he went to read some of those characters, I'm excited to continue. And this is definitely the biggest Dark Tower book. It feels like it's twice the size of Drawing of the Three, and that was a pretty decent sized book. I mean, Gunslinger is kind of like a false sense of security in how short it is, and the rest of these look like they're pretty chunky, but I'm excited to continue. I love Stephen King so far. I have not really had many complaints about anything that I've read of his. I'm really enjoying The Dark Tower. It's kind of what I wanted to read by King, and very, very vaguely understanding what it's about. I was not prepared for anything in this series. It's completely insane and off the wall, and there are recognizable themes and character arcs and archetypes and things like that, but man, like you could have given me a million guesses, and half the things that happen in these books I would have never guessed, because why would you? It's just Stephen King's mind is a wonder, and it's wonderful. But yeah, I really love this series so far, and I'm so eager to continue, because while I'm not going to read probably the order that I initially thought I was, where it was like 17 books and like intermixing all kinds of stuff and like little like Easter eggs and all that, I'll probably still mix in some of it, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to go through the Dark Tower novels. I'll break it up every once in a while with a book or two, but yeah, I mean, Stephen King is awesome. If you aren't reading Stephen King, why aren't you? Because the man knows his stuff, and there's so many different books that he's written that, I mean, whether you like horror or a thriller or a weird batshit insane fantasy story like Dark Tower, I'm sure you could find something of his that you would like. I mean, shit, he's got like 80 books published or something. That's probably not even a high enough number. But I love Stephen King, and this is my June. I'm really liking Scott Lynch, and he did announce that he's doing like 3 novellas, I think, so good for him. He's getting back to writing. Hopefully that means that book 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 are in the works, but the fact that he's writing and he's getting novellas published is going to be cool, because that will give me some more material to read through when I catch up on the series. And Discworld, I mean, I've read like 4 of them out of 187, so long time on that journey. And Dark Tower, I'm really enjoying, so lots of fun ahead. But yeah, that's my June. What are you guys reading? What are you up to? What's happening? I'm trying to get back in the swing of recording a little bit more, and hope you all enjoy your reads. Let me know what you think of any of these, if you have any favorites or books you absolutely detest, and if you do, keep it to yourself. Just kidding. See you guys next time.